Hello, Scott. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation to this interview today. And I'm really looking forward to see what you have to tell us today. So first of all, which one do you consider to be your home culture? So the one that makes sense to you.
I would say Pacific Northwest of the United States. It's where I was born and raised,
I
but
see.
I have spent time living on the East Coast of the US as well as Australia.
Okay. And within the United States, since you said Northwest, what do you think are the major differences within the United States? In, of course, business wise, always talking about business.
Well, I mean, there are quite a few differences. I mean, I would say the US is such a large country that you end
Right.
up with kind of a diverse cultural, especially when it comes to business. I see the East Coast being a lot more um, not so much rigid, but just get down to business. A lot more blunt in the conversations, where the West Coast and southern part of the United States is a lot more interested in the relationship than
Okay.
it is strictly business.
Business. I see. I understand. Well, that's interesting. And what about Australia?
Australia is much more interested in the relationship.
Good.
It's much more about let's find out what each other likes and what do you do on the weekends more than before we get down to talking about products and solutions.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So, at this point, so how many countries do you have experience with?
Actually, for this, I went through and kind of wrote down and counted the ones that I've done business in, and it's about 20, I believe.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So, would you care to name them all? And then, of course, we probably focus on the ones that you have more experience with.
All right, yeah. So it's mostly Europe and Asia.
Uh-huh.
I haven't done much in Africa or Central America, South America, but
Okay.
Germany, Finland, France, UK, Italy, Austria, Switzerland, and then Australia, of course, Mexico, Canada, Taiwan,
Uh-huh.
Japan, Korea, China, India.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So,
that's
and which one of all these, comes to mind first when talking about differences, cultural differences?
There's definitely, I find that Europe is a lot closer to the US as far as the cultural, I would say, requirements or norms, but there are
Mhm.
differences. They're much more likely to get down to business, especially in Germany.
I
It's
see.
about the business first, but there is a relationship aspect of it.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people, and I did this when I first started going to Europe, would go into a meeting, open up my laptop, to take notes, because in the US,
Hmm.
that's what you do. And I had
Right.
a mentor in Germany kind of tell me, that puts a block between you and the customer.
I
And
see. Huh.
um, from then on, I started
Interesting.
just carrying a notepad. And I mean, it's a pain because later you have to
Right. Of
transcribe the
course. Of
notes,
course.
but it kind of removes an obstacle between you and whoever you're talking to.
That's interesting. That's a really good thing to know. And it makes sense if you think
Yeah.
about it. Or maybe just maybe sit it to the side. That wouldn't work. Just have it, sitting not in front of the person, but maybe on the side. You think that would work? Or
Exactly. And that's if I was doing any kind of presentations, I would have it to one side, but leave the distance between
right.
me and the people I'm presenting to or talking to clear.
Perfect. Interesting, interesting. So, of course, because of personal interest, what's your take in doing business with Italians?
Italians are always fun. Uh, Italy is one of those countries. Italy and France really are more of on the relationship side. So a lot of the business gets done not in the boardroom or on the engineering floor, but
At
at
the
dinner
dinner
that
table.
night. There has to be wine involved for the Italians or French to be interested in what's going on.
Right,
So,
right, right, absolutely. And now, Italy, what part? Because there's a lot of differences between North and South. I was born in the North and grew up in the South. So, where in Italy did you have experience?
most of the time I spend in northern.
Hmm.
Um, up near Venice, or I'm blanking on the name of the city, the fashion.
Milano?
Milano,
See,
yes. So I've spent a lot of time in Milano, um,
right,
working
right.
with, because that's more of the technical kind of
Yes,
area of Italy, is in the north, kind of
absolutely.
going up towards Switzerland and Austria.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the northern regions of Italy are considered more European.
Yes.
There's a big battle between north and south, a ridiculous battle still between north and south in Italy. So, yes, but technically, all those characteristics do apply to them as well. We always do eat first and then talk business, not the other way
Yes.
around.
When, I mean, even within, I use a distribution company there for most of my
Hmm.
business, and they have reps that are in the south as well as the north,
Okay.
and just the general personalities, you can see the differences there.
Yes.
And that's kind of interesting, and learning how to deal with those different personalities based on their cultural preferences, I guess,
Yes.
has been a big issue and a big learning curve that I've had to overcome.
I see. I understand. All right. So, what other countries you feel like speaking with about?
Um, one place that I didn't cover was, I haven't been there as far as traveled there, but Israel. I've
Ah,
done business quite a bit remotely there,
I see.
and that's always been an interesting dynamic going on there, because they are very interested in the just getting down to business.
Okay.
But when it comes to negotiations, they're very upfront and very in your face.
Okay.
So I could remember once being in a negotiation over the phone with one of my managers, and finally my manager just gave up because we kept on saying, no, we can't go any lower. We can't go any lower. And they just kept on coming after us to go lower, to, reduce the price. Hey, we needed this. And finally my manager got up and said, you deal with this. This is the lowest price we could do, and walked out. And probably went on for another 45 minutes of me just saying, no, we can't do
Yes. No.
this.
Go back.
We're at the bottom. And finally got to a point that they said, okay. And then they were all friendly again. I
Right.
was left
Right.
kind of feeling, wait a second. I kind of felt personally attacked. And then
Mhm.
everything finished and they were
Yes.
back to being friendly again. And
Yes.
it took me a while to process that was just a cultural thing in this company or this
Yes.
business,
Yes.
that
Yes.
that's what they expected to
Right.
happen.
Yes, there are certain countries, and also southern Italy, they love to go back and forth on the
Yes.
prices. And I'll tell you just a little story about my mother going to the market. My mom from north, from Torino, going to the market in the town of Formia a long time ago to buy a pair of shoes for my brother. And the guy, I don't know, he said maybe $10. The pair of shoes was $10. And my mother said, okay, that's fine. And he was like, that's fine. And she was like, yes, I think it's a fair price. Then by the accent, he understood she wasn't from there. So he was like, okay, I'll do 8. It's just
Yeah.
like, no fun, because you see ladies go in there and just, now I'm going to pay
Haggle,
5, now
haggle.
it's 6. And then there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of, threatening of walking away. And then
Yeah.
there's some seller that runs after you. So all these, they are rituals. They are expected.
Yes.
And when, my
Negotiation
mom
in
said,
some
yeah, that's
cultures
fine.
are,
He was like, okay, she doesn't know any better.
yeah. And that's negotiations in subcultures is, it's not only expected or
Hmm.
not even possible, it's expected to happen.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's part of the fun. And so, what do you think would be one of the major challenges that you found in dealing with any of these countries, culturally wise, of course?
Getting used to the fact that it's not going to be a remote call, or it's not going to be one visit that you're going to be there to, present and solve a solution. Even if you have the best product in the world,
Yeah.
it's going to take multiple trips, multiple calls, multiple interaction before it's like before they trust you enough to
Yeah.
actually want to work with you.
Yeah.
And
The
depending on the
famous.
company, it could take a lot more than that too.
Right, the famous know, like, and trust. And
Yes.
yes, you have to gain their trust. And then the good thing about it, I don't know if this is from your experience, the funny part is that with certain countries, the moment you gain that trust, even if you make a mistake, they won't let you go.
Yes.
You become family. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying? So a person that you really can talk to and say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't, get to this in time, or whatever the case may be. Once that trust is there, they will not leave you or drop you just because you made one mistake, or a
No.
delay, or something. It's really a strong relationship at that point.
Yeah, but the flip side of that too, that I've seen other people do is take advantage of that to a point that it does damage the relationship. And then
Yeah,
once
well,
that is
you
damaged,
can't.
it
Yeah,
doesn't come back. There's nothing you can
right,
do to bring that
right,
back.
right, right,
Japan
right.
is a good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're qualified and once you're in, that business is yours, forever, unless
Right.
you really mess up, and then you don't have another chance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you think you will requires at least, I mean, mess up big, or have multiple instances of mistakes, or just this, one strike you're out.
I think it's multiple. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you know, most cultures understand that, you know, we're imperfect. There are going to be mistakes
Right.
made, but as long as you can recover from them, admit to them, and correct them,
Mm-hmm.
that's what they're looking for, and
Okay.
not take advantage of that long-term relationship that you've built up.
Okay.
That's what they're looking for is, a real relationship, not just, you know, give me your money and, I'll deliver
Yeah.
the product once and then I'm gone.
Right. 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 And well, you already told me a couple of funny stories, but one that really you still laugh about when you think about it, or maybe an episode that of a cultural misunderstanding that led to a funny situation.
I would say it's this is more physical safety. I
Okay.
took a customer of mine to India 2 years ago to actually have a conversation with them on, showing them introducing them to the culture, introducing them to the industry, and trying to get some business going between my customer and my distributor in India. And we both weren't expecting kind of what we got, but we were
Okay.
in Mumbai and going down to the conference center, and the taxi we were in passed the exit on the freeway.
Hmm.
And both of us were getting a little stressed out because we were going to be late for our first meeting, and because it's a long time to the next exit. And the taxi driver just said no problem, stopped in the middle of the freeway, turned around, and started driving back into the incoming
Oh my
traffic.
God. Yeah.
Both of us in the back are holding on for dear life, and but that, I mean, that was normal. I saw it
Yeah.
multiple
Hmm.
times, that trip and other trips of, the physical safety aspect of it isn't like what we would see in the US as being
Right.
important.
Right, right, absolutely. And for me, coming also from a country where we drive kind of crazy, and every street signal is just a suggestion, not
Yeah.
mandatory. I when coming here is hard to learn how to follow the rules, so that if you're in this lane and you end up saying, oh my God, I had to turn that way. You just have to go and get out whenever you can. And in Italy, you would just and
Yep.
try to make it to the other side, which that was I was like, oh my God,
Yep.
what am I gonna
That's
do?
And I see it especially in Asia, India, Korea, China.
Hmm.
It's more of people will make way for me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
but you go to Germany and they would be very upset with you if you did that.
absolutely, Absolutely. Yes, it's like a flexibility, mental flexibility of saying, okay, I'm letting him go because, eventually somebody, I will be in the same situation. They kind of feel for you and that, okay, they can, they can do that too. So if you had to have like one suggestion for people or for businesses that are trying to maybe reach out abroad, what would be your number one or maybe even a few suggestions?
especially abroad, whether it's Asia or Europe. You know, do some research, get online, contact a company about the culture that's there and learn a little bit about the history, the background. The worst thing to be is in a country, like Taiwan, being in Taiwan and talking about not knowing about the political infighting between mainland China and Taiwan and bringing up the wrong thing can sour a
Mhm.
relationship pretty quickly.
Okay. Okay.
So having that background is definitely of an interest, and being able to having the desire and wanting to find out about the history and the culture. And a lot of times businesses, you got to, you know face to face, eat the food, drink the drink,
Yeah.
even try to learn a little bit of the language, goes
Right.
a long ways towards developing that relationship a little bit deeper.
Absolutely, absolutely. From my experience, and the type of business that I do is that even if they see the effort, maybe then they will continue in English. But
Yeah,
because you go to most countries and you find people that speak English, but just this when they see that effort, that you at least a greeting or something that you try to learn in their own language, that it's a big
helps a
step
lot.
towards reaching that trust. And then again, if you're really interested in their culture and their country and you show that you know a little, then it you can't fake it. You
Yes.
can't fake that interest. It will transpire if you're just you know you don't really care. So that's very important. All
Well, and
right.
I'm in a really technical
Mm-hmm.
kind of industry, and so most of the people we go talk to, I mean, they speak English or they understand it well enough. And there's been several
Okay.
times that I've tried to, learn the language and
Yeah.
tried to use it, you know, with the people, and they appreciate it, but then they just say, no, let's switch back to English. Which is kind of frustrating for me because I'd like to learn it, and that's about the only way
Right.
that you're going to get fluent in it. But
Right. Right.
it takes too long for them.
Yes, 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 I understand. All right. So anything else that you would like to add or speak about?
The only other thing is get for especially for Americans is to get out of your cultural safety zone and understand that there's going to be foods that you're going to have to eat that you're not going to like. And that's
Yeah.
part of what they're trying to do is they're trying to push your boundaries and make you uncomfortable. And so you'll
Hmm.
have some plates put down in front of you that sometimes are still moving, and and but it's a test. I mean, it's seeing
Wow.
if
Okay.
you're the type of person that they want to work with. And so
I
be
understand.
prepared to eat things that you don't really want to eat.
Okay. So did you find yourself in front of a plate that was with stuff that was moving?
Multiple times, especially in Korea with the squid. They have
Uh-huh.
a dish where they come in with a squid and they cut off the tentacles on your plate,
Hmm. Okay.
and
So
they're
those are
still
still.
moving. And they give you a pair of metal chopsticks and say, make sure you chew well, otherwise it'll suction to your throat.
All right. Okay. So you just
Yes,
went ahead and said, okay, it's
yes.
ill type of sushi, but nothing like insects or anything like that. No.
India, there was some insects, but they were
Mhm.
cooked.
Yeah. Okay.
They were cooked,
They were
and
not moving.
yes,
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Again, you have to be open to all kinds of things, and I'm sure that a company like yours, when they choose the people that are, they just don't send anybody
yes,
abroad. They need to make sure you mentality is open and ready to face these type of situation. Because again, like you said, it can make or break the
yes.
the relationship and the deal. That was really, really interesting. Thank you so, so much. And again, I
No
will
worries.
uh, I will post your interview on YouTube. It was great to meet you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the time, and I look forward to seeing it, and hopefully it helps people in the future out.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Have a
All
great
right,
day and a great 2020.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.